Welcome everyone to today's workshop. The workshop will be hosted by our Director of International Sales, Dr. Melissa Cow. Without further ado, we will now pass the time to Dr. Melissa Cow for the presentation.
Thank you, Andrew. I will share my screen now. Let me know if you couldn't see your screen. Okay, so today, this is a series of workshop webinars. So thank you again, everyone. It's nice to see everyone again. Thanks for coming. So today we're going to focus on talking about the visitor profile metrics, how we're using that to redefine the retail analytics. We will then follow by more hands-on product workshops showcasing the enhanced capabilities of the Pro2. So we will have multiple different workshops to go through counting accuracy using the sensor fusion. But today we're going to focus on the visitor profile metrics. So now we offer this enrich metrics because it's then giving insights that go beyond just counting heads. Just counting your footfall is a more enhanced visitor profile on there. Now, while the V9 serves many markets well, it can't cater for every segment. So we're going to talk about other things like calibration, integration for resellers and system integrators as well. So we will talk about those in the other webinar. So today the focus will be quality over just the quantity of footfall, because not every visitor contributes the same, so that you don't blindly set sales KPI, so you can leverage on the better quality data to make smarter decision. So other workshop, the next workshop, we talk about the competitive analysis and also the installation and best practice. And of course, as I mentioned just now, the actual integration for our other more technical data-centric partners. So the next one, again, we talk about the technology. Now we're moving on. I'm not going to go through too technical about the previous generation. Now we're moving on to the fourth and the fifth generation. We're now talking about technology fusion. So you're not just relying on a single technology being the 3D stereo vision. So now we have more like Wi-Fi, BLE on it, 3D stereo vision, of course, and AI. So, and the fifth generation is going to go even deeper with the AI model and also in-store analytics. But today we're going to talk about just the camera that you're going to put at the entrance. We're just going to focus on how that one camera can give you all these more enriched visitor profile metrics. We are, of course, because of this, we are, of course, leading against all our competitors, and at 10%, 15% of their price, these metrics are, is critical. So how does it link to footfall analytics, and why must we have it? And what kind of implication if you're not using it? And if you're using it, what kind of business achievement you can get? What kind of benefit you can get? What are the business grade data analytics you can have? So we're going to discuss this in today's webinar. So what we're talking now is an enablement, because you only just need one device at your entrance, and with its multiple technologies on board, you're going to get a lot more. So we have a fusion of multiple sensors all in one. We have the 3D stereo vision, as we always have, the Wi-Fi, as we used to have, as well as the Bluetooth now, and AI vision. And for the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, we're actually having dual antenna. So one showing the outside of the store, one inside of the store, so that this way we can capture the two distinct angles, so we know the direction approach from the people. So are they coming outside going in, or are they on the inside of the store going out? And also whether or not that traffic is outside traffic or in-store visit duration. So we're able to really distinct that. Now, it then also paired with continuous machine learning, mentioning about Re-ID. So we have an Re-ID engine in here that's AI. So it builds an anonymized appearance vector based on your shape, your skeleton, like your skeleton, your shape, like how long your arms is from your torso and things like this. That's the shape. And what you're wearing, your attire, the color you're wearing, the color of your hair, and your gait, how you're moving. So we're based on this, using AI re-identification, we can continuously reinforce the learning, and it provides the learning to the Wi-Fi and to the 3D. So with this sensor fusion, it will allow us to profile the visitors very accurately, and it can also establish a reliable ground truth. So we apply this reality across all the different technology, and the important part is that it will continuously learn. That's the power of AI. So it's like the longer that you're using it, it's going to improve the accuracy over time. So this is very powerful. I will go through the technical shortly. So what is the quality over quantity? What can we uncover the real story behind your footfall? So if you say, I have 100 people coming in, what are you getting? So we have a metric documentation here. It is a short blog post to talk about quickly talk about what you're getting first. And so who walk past your store? How many actually enter your store today? What are the unique visitor? Because sometimes you have customer go back out, come back in again. Yeah. So unique visitor, for the whole day, how many actually you having distinct? Do they come in a group, or do they come in on their own? Do they come in with a friend, or do they come in a family group? And also, how long did they stay? How long are they staying inside your shop? Who are they? What is the age and gender? Are they, like we say, are they visiting with a family, bringing children in? And are staff being excluded from the counts? So all these are then going to complete the missing puzzle. So imagine if you don't have that, this is your black hole. So if you're only having footfall, number of people coming in traditionally, and your sales data, you get a sales conversion, but you have a black hole here, the missing piece. Now, and this is the main blustering into the sales funnel. So last week we talked about the sales journey inside the store. Today we're going to just focus on at the entrance. This is what you're getting, because each store will have different profile, different unique visitor, and the kind of group that are coming in. Obviously the age and gender, as we mentioned, and visit duration. So if you do not have these, how are you going to be able to realistically know how to tackle? Otherwise, you're just blindly tackling, all right, and say, all right, everyone increase the sales conversion to 60%, right? You're giving stress, but not knowing where that specific store should tackle. Some stores, maybe they need to tackle, family. Another store, maybe they need to tackle a different gender. They might have a lot of teenager coming in, or what are you going to do about that? And some other probably tackle visit duration. So you need to know the chance of buying. And with just the one device at the entrance, like we show here, on there, we were going to have all these metrics. With just the one device that you put it at your entrance, you're now able to have all this. So now what if you don't have? What kind of implication you're going to have if you don't have this complete people counting data? So if you don't have a visit duration, then you lack the context behind each of the visit. So you cannot differentiate if your customer that actually walk in, do they have a high engagement visit? Do they just come in and walk out within 3 minutes, or have they come in and spend 25 minutes inside your store? And also, so you can then just even by the visit duration, you can gauge your in-store experience quality. So on then, and maybe if you have a store that have a lot of footfall, but they only just come in 5 minutes and they go, and then you wonder why they have a low sales, right? So that's probably where you want to then increase that. What can you do in there? Staff training, more mm, uh, better display, or things like this. Then you can tackle that. Now, outside traffic, what if you don't have these metrics? Then you cannot measure your windows attraction rate. So because you don't know how many people are passing by. So one thing is you don't even know if you're in a good location, how many people are passing by. You can always blame your staff and say, okay, you're not selling, you're not converting. Why are people not coming in? But you may not have realized actually you don't have a lot of people passing by your store outside. So that's one thing. The other thing is like maybe you have a lot of people passing outside, but how's your window display? And if you change your window display to this, from this to this, have you increased the number of the turn-in rate for that, and how you're going to benchmark your store performance against the other people or the other street. Now, returning visitor. Now, if you don't have this, then you will miss the insight on the loyalty and the engagement. So you cannot gauge your retention rate. You cannot distinguish whether they are how many of them are coming in are first time or they're actually returning. So you may have a very good staff and actually retaining a lot of customer, and you might find the long-term value of your foot traffic. What is the long-term value of your foot traffic? You may have a store with a lot of footfall, but the long-term value is not there. Against another store, maybe it is at a quieter area, footfall's not great, but the staff was great, and hence they're returning their customer. So that one customer that you convert, it keep on coming back and giving you business. So these are things that if you know, then you will have a way to tackle that. Of course, staff exclusion. If you're not able to distinguish the staff, then of course your staff traffic and is going to have an inflated footfall with the staff data on there. Yeah. So these are then grouping into a table. Now, for example, with that, like when you have two stores, they both have 100 people coming in. So you have this store A where you have a lot of family group, and this store because it's in an office area, so you have people visiting in between their work. So you have a lot of adults just coming on their own. So if you are not able to distinguish the quality between these two footfall, you are only able to set a generic sales target. So you're only just going to be blindly setting them and say, I want a sales conversion rate of 60%. You may be able to get a conversion rate of 60% with this, but not with this, because this comes in a group and each group will only just have one buying power. So of these three here, you're just going to have one transaction. Then it's not fair and to say why this store cannot make a 60% conversion rate. But they may have a higher basket size because they come in a group. And if you realize that, then you might want to have a lot more product that also cater for that demographic, so to increase your cross sales. Yeah, so you list underperforming stores being misjudged, while the high potential store you could probably push a lot more, because at the moment you're getting an average what kind of sales conversion you can get. You might be able to push a lot more sales conversion from that. So with the footfall quality metrics, this is what you're getting. You're getting the gender, you're getting the age range, you're getting the spending power, like family group and all those things. So now you're going to actually be able to set store specific sales target for that. And you can then also you will earn trust if that actions, because now you setting the store specific target, the store staff are able to actually action on it and get a realistic results. So then and you can then measure that. You can track that, because you then now set this target, you can track that, and you can then learn from there. How do you tackle for this kind of store? How are you going to increase the sales revenue ultimately compared to that one? So you can then have that sales specific thing. Now we're going to talk about how do we get those data, and specifically how re-identification work. So this is a process of identifying a individual across different senses. Of course, then first, if you're having the one device at the entrance, then you're detecting them or when they first appear, and then they disappear because they went into the store, or they have gone outside and then they come back in again into view. And also for the in-store analytics, then if they then go into another senses view and so forth. So what we are doing is we're using the appearance vector, how they appear. So their body shape, their clothing color, their accessories they're wearing. Like for example, this lady here wearing a white shirt, black trousers, and a handbag. So this we then create a temporary appearance vector. And we use that to cross-check at different points in time and across different senses as well. We also take into account of the gait, how they move, because this is then also a distinct to this person. This is important so that we can differentiate between similar looking individuals. Maybe you have another lady also wearing a black and white outfit. So we use that added element. So now then what it's doing then is then, of course, the sensors are looking at different people, then it's able to pick that this lady was here, 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 and here. And then you are finding the matched images. So what it also does is, apart from taking this into account, what it's capable of doing is that is continuously reinforcing the learning, so it can continuously refine the accuracy for that. And it can adapt to the time of the day, the crowd density, and the environment condition. Yeah. The other thing is very important, which is a sensor fusion. We are not just relying on one technology or one sensor. So we are combining with three. So the combination of three, of course, then it gives the enhanced accuracy. And importantly, it can cross-validate and cross-learning between the different technology. So you have the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi. This one will provide the training data, the ground truth to benchmark, say, the AI re-ID. Yeah, or here, because then as one person, as they move under the counter, we will detect their Wi-Fi signal. We have the 3D view of the person, the height, the depth map. We also have the AI, the re-ID of its appearance and its gait. So we have all that. So we know that, okay, this person if they come in with multiple devices, maybe he's wearing a watch as well as a phone. So all these things are taken into account, and we then cross-validate. And as this person get into the store and come back out again, we are seeing this same appearance. Is it with these two devices and so forth and the time. So there are a lot of self-learning, self-regulating. So it's adapting to different environment and behavior changes, and self-auditing. So it can detect anomalies and maintain consistent accuracy. So the beauty of all this is that these are automatic. You can, of course, enhance it by manual input, manual verification, auditing, manual annotation, to add on that to increase, but otherwise the system can actually do it automatically. This is sensor fusion. Now, I'm now going to talk about how each of the different metrics work. So visit duration. So we're going to use again the sensor fusion here. We have the dual antenna. So it's going to track the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi, the signal strength, and the movement path. So we know if they're coming from outside coming in or from inside going out. We can, of course, then also estimate the time spent inside the store based on the signal trajectory. Now, with this also, we have the ground truth. With the 3D vision, we are actually going to provide the exact footfall count, because 3D vision is 99.8%. Yeah, so it will know exactly, it's almost 100%. We know exactly how many people actually come in here. So we can use this ground truth to then validate the Bluetooth counting to benchmark it for signal validation. You correlate the number of device per visitor, as we mentioned. And we also have it, the re-ID, which can then reinforce this learning model. So we can compare the detection pattern of the person with the Wi-Fi. So this is very important when we have this. So the initial accuracy is already decent because we have a very good 3D counting, and the Wi-Fi with dual antenna is very strong on there detecting all this. And the pre-trained model, the pre-trained base models, from similar retail environment, this will already give a good starting point. But the power in it is the self-learn and the adapt. So you know over time, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, you are just going to be more and more accurate for that. And this is critical because then you can enable, you have shopper level behavioral analytics, even just with the one device at the entrance. So we'll share this video. This is how where we already define this is a female, it's an adult, and that's how long she's staying there with that. And of course, then we will see that when she's leaving, we then know how long she has spent in the store. So she has spent 13 seconds in the store, actually under a minute. But because this specifically, we also have the staff count, we can actually see that she had actually got an engagement with the staff. So she did ask a question, although she has spent a relatively shorter time there. So how do we count unique visitor? Again, with appearance vector, the re-ID. So with the body size, clothing, gait, and the movement, we can distinguish them. And again, we have the reinforced learning of this. We are also cross-validating it with the Wi-Fi on there. So for example, here, you notice we have the ID, although we don't have personal detail, but we have the ID. Now then, when this customer come back in, because we detect, we have put in a privacy mask here, of course, so you can't see it. But the device, when they are analyzing it with the edge technology, we're analyzing on the device. We are analyzing the clothings, so we are able to distinguish this is actually the same person, and so we will give him the same unique the ID. That's his previous ID, the 34. So we're detecting her again when she's coming back in. So we're giving her the same ID again. Yeah. So the next one, how do we measure the outside traffic? Again, a combination of different sensors. The MAC code, we obviously hash it. This is all GDPR compliant. We hash it, so we use the non-randomized MAC code for that. So we are also learning the phone carrying behavior patterns by the different time of the day. And we're using 3D stereo vision and AI vision. Based on this, we can count number of people going by, and we benchmark it against all this retail sample. Yeah. So for example, here, because we have a very wide angle, we can if we can get outside traffic. So you do not need to have an extra device outside. You're able to see outside as well as inside because of the very wide camera angle. So you have seen there. So that's with the icon there. That's the passing by. And those are actually come in for that. So we're using this count as well as the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth counting. Age and gender. So this mainly is AI vision learning and is at scale. The training over is a global data set. It's 1 billion sample size on there. It's very, very accurate, very high confidence across different ethnicity, different lighting conditions, and camera angle as well. We also enhance it. So different from just a normal CCTV. So any standard CCTV, they will have a globalized, a global model. But what advantage of FootfallCam is that we actually also train a localized model, and you can get involved in this. So because this is very important, although the global data set is huge, is already very accurate, your local cultural difference, attire, ethnicity, your regional, behavior, all this, if you further fine tune it with your localized model tuning, then it's going to increase your regional accuracy. And we have a workspace for that so that you can do a lot of annotation for that to train your local model. And a lot of our partners are helping in training that local model so that it will be very accurate to your, to your behavior in your region for that. And we're using sensor fusion refinement. So we combine the video motion vector and we're also combining with for, the body alignment and all that. So, and we maintain this precision even in poor lighting. And sometimes your camera angle can be at the side. So if you're only just getting a side profile, we can overcome that challenge as well. And sometimes you might have a pillar, you have an obstructed view because you have one person behind the other person. So we can have that as well. And we do cross-verify over different retail environment. So we have already put a privacy mask here, but generally what we are telling you is female, male, and the different age. So different age you have from children to obviously teenager to adults, as in from 25 years old to kind of the middle age, and then to elderly. So you can have you can know what kind of customer actually come into your store at what time of the day. Now, how does staff identification work? And again, we cannot emphasize this enough because if you cannot distinguish your staff, then you get an inflated footfall. Now, but you do not. You want it to be automatic, more passive. You can't. A lot of retailers you have different shift, and you have temporary worker, so you can't go there and always adding, your staff there, wearing a tag or wearing anything on the body may not be practical. Using a button is even less practical. And sometimes you don't have uniform. A lot of retailer, of course, some retailer have a distinct uniform, then it's very easy for that. But then you also have like managers that don't wear the usual uniform. And you have a lot of retailers don't have that. So what we are also doing is we can detect them based on their behavior. For example, here. So here you have, how do we distinguish these are visitors, they are not staff. So then when you see visitor coming in, then you have staff that actually comes behind that post. So you distinguish the staff. And also staff will be talking to different group of people throughout the day. That's a behavior you won't get in a customer. So that's how you also distinguish him as a staff. Now this staff has been there cleaning, stocking there. So that's a behavior that's from the staff, and so that's how you distinguish him. Now this staff is behind the checkout counter. So that's how you also pick them up as a staff. So these are all automatic thing that it will just self-learn. So then you do not need to have anything. You do not have to pre-register. Even without uniform, you can distinguish the staff. And it also continuously calibrate. So it will learn new stuff as well over the time, and it also adapt to the shift patterns and store changes for that. Now, how do we classify children? Now, we know 3D stereo vision, you have the height mapping. Yeah, so you can distinguish the height when they're shorter than a certain height, then you can do that. And you can classify it also based on the whole body thing, but mainly during the height. But you can miss extremely short, like toddler, because they're so short, and also those that are on a stroller, then you miss them. So we combine it with the AI vision, so that we can detect them even if they're walking independently, or if they're in the stroller, or if they're being carried. So for example, here in this video there, you notice that. So with a 3D stereo vision, we know this is a child because she's short. In an AI vision, it may look like an adult here because you have this blocking it. But combining with the 3D, we are then able to detect that this is a child. But with 3D, you wouldn't be able to detect it in the stroller because you can't see them. But with the AI, then we can then see there's actually a child in the stroller. So therefore, with these two combined, we are able to distinguish these two are our children, and that's an adult. So that. So now all this importantly that they are their privacy is protected. This is very, very important. So throughout all this, there's no personally identifiable data. So it's never stored. Only the aggregated insights are being used and transferred throughout the network. So, and importantly, unlike platforms like Facebook and Google, they do collect a lot of personal data and they keep it for as long as your profile exists, right? Because they're using this to target you. They target their advertising onto you, down to the, like, if I ever look at a toy on my social media or on Google, then it's going to target me as one with with children, and then they'll always bombard me with advertising on either childcare or toys. Yeah. So, but unlike that, we don't need that. So we don't need this information to target back to the person. And we couldn't anyway, so because we don't have those personal data. So we are privacy by design. We are not only just complying with them. So like Facebook and Google, they obviously have to comply with it. So they need to get your consent and all those. They have to go and comply with it. But we actually is beyond complying that. We are privacy by design so that you actually have no personal information on your system at all. So all the data is hashed at the device level, and they will be deleted once the aggregated number is already produced and being stored in the database. So they're all statistical number, and the end user can only access the aggregated data on there. So there's no ability to identify any individuals at any path of the system, and we never use those data for any for that purpose. Yeah. Okay, so now I will go through briefly of what kind of dashboard you will get now that you have collected all this data, but we'll have an upcoming workshop which we will then go on to more specifically what kind of data, what realistic and what kind of data it comes in and what kind of dashboard and what kind of AI recommendation we will get. So for example, here, you can look at this dashboard here. These are the metrics that we are getting. So at your store location, we're going to provide you with the your catchment area population and your target demographic, your outside traffic, your footfall, the group count, your unique visitor, returning customer visit duration, and of course, if you put in your sales, you will have that. So this is your data set, and with this data set now, you're going to get more useful insight. So let's walk through the funnel. So this one, you can see you are in a very, you have your catchment area, you have a very strong demographic base. So you're showing that your store is located in a catchment area with a very solid market reach. Yeah. But then if you see, you don't have your target outside traffic is that, because based on this demographic you're targeting, your outside traffic is that, but you see that it's not reaching your target. And your footfall is also not reaching your target. Your unique visitor out of that footfall is also not reaching it. Your group count is not reaching that, but your returning customer is very high. And your sales revenue actually is beyond your target. So what does these are called the footfall quality. What does this footfall quality telling you? So for example, if you're saying that your demographic is that, and you expected your footfall to be that, if you want to increase your sales revenue, what would you do? You would just ask them to increase the sales conversion. You're pushing that. But actually, if you look at this, your staff is actually very good. So whoever that have bought before, they are returning. Your long-term value is very high. What does this mean? Is that you really have a very good team of staff there. So if you just blindly ask them to increase their sales conversion, you're giving them stress where is not going to, they're already doing their best. So what for this store is probably you should move to the next street. Maybe the street you are on is not having a lot of outside traffic, or you may need to do better with your window display, or your store layout, or something, the marketing, that you need to then attract people coming in, or maybe just then have someone standing outside to give out samples and things like this. So these are probably the thing that you need to increase, rather than just blindly asking them to increase their sales target. So this is where it then become important. Now here, then, this is where with the AI simulation. So now you now understand your different footfall composition. So you can then explain your conversion rate variations between your store, and so you can then identify the areas for improvement. So now you can then set your target. Actually, the AI will actually set a recommended target. You can then go and adjust it to even suit better. And then it will also track end up what is your sales revenue to tell you actually you're doing better than your target. Green, you're not doing as good as your target. You haven't reached your target. So orange and so forth. And then you can have it as red as well. So you can set target not only just on the sales, but on the footfall. So then you have different stakeholder to be responsible to reach that target. So this sales target, of course, for the sales team, for the sales director to come up with things that help to increase the sales. For example, things to cross-sell or things like this. Footfall target, so whose responsibility is that? Maybe the property team, they need to move you to a better location, or marketing team, so forth. And basket size obviously then comes back down to the store staff training, so that how could they then increase the basket size and so forth. Yeah. So you can have that. Now, this is also the sales tracker. So like, for example, you're setting that target, and this store is already going beyond the target, which is very good. And it will self-learn as well, then say, okay, right, maybe next time I can set a better target. And so forth. Of course, then you go to your worst performing store, which is then going below target. Then you want to review or review, maybe my target has been set too harshly, or I need to provide them with better support so that they can do that. So that's where all these things are. So we will cover in the next workshop how AI simulation recommendation on there, and how you can then set and adjust your target, and getting a feedback, the real actual data feedback on this. So this is then you lead to better increase in sales on there, and you bridge the gap between the management and the store, because then now you are really understanding the store and profile. So we also have other upcoming workshops. So that's the end of today. Thanks for joining. So I encourage you to come to the next workshop so we can discuss more on those data. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Melissa, for the insightful presentation. We've covered some great points, and thank you for joining the workshop, and we will see you again next week.
Bye-bye.